So hi, my name is Natalie. I am part of PAT here in UFPR, and I'm going to talk about innovations and the future of energy, mainly focusing on wind energy. So today I'm going to talk mainly three topics. First, I'm going to talk the basics of wind energy, some properties, and the current world market, particularly about the capacity for wind energy. Then I'm going to talk about a company, which is Energy Vault. I'm going to talk about who they are and some of their projects. And at last, I'm going to talk about the innovations, which is one of the Energy Vault projects, and their current progress. So the wind energy here has a few advantages and disadvantages that I'm going to talk about mainly. They come and go together, some of them. So the wind energy, mainly it's easily integrated in rural or remote areas, as well as coastal or island communities. And this makes the access for installation a little bit difficult, but it does make sure that so many places can't have this energy. And that is mainly because wind power is a clean and renewable energy source, and since wind is abundant and inexhaustible resource, it can be found everywhere. It's not something that ends or something that it's zeroed somewhere. Every place has it, just in different intensities. And when you consider land-based utility-scale wind turbines, they provide one of the lowest price energy sources available today. The only competing source is solar, which the price is about the same. The difference is the materials. Wind energy doesn't need that many specific materials, mainly some different metals like steel and iron and some concrete. However, you do need to import those, so you need to consider the impact on the environment that the transportation of these turbines causes. And you also need to consider that the wind turbines, they produce noise and they can alter the aesthetics of the place, and wind plants can also impact local wildlife. This considers some other resources for renewable energy, still very little impact, like a hydroelectric power plant needs to flood a whole area and the turbines are just placed. And last, the average wind speed varies considerably by location, and it can impact the daily capacity. So places have a lot of wind during the day and none during the night, or the other way around. And that can cause a lot of problems because the daily capacity is not the same. It's not a stable amount of wind production. And here are some of the top countries for wind energy considering the capacity. The main one is China, which is it's more than 10 times what Brazil can produce. Brazil is currently in 7th place with 21.2 gigawatts of capacity. And you may notice that Sweden is in 10th place currently. It used to be 11th, but now it's the 10th. However, Sweden may be the 10th for capacity, but it's the first in innovations and new resources when it comes to wind energy. So Sweden has plenty of companies and plenty of initiatives to continue wind energy and to expand it to the rest of the world. One of this innovations, this company actually, it's Energy Vault. Energy Vault is a company that is sustainable. His whole focus is on sustainable energy storage solutions. And the way they storage this energy is based on gravity, on potential energy, and a little bit of kinetic energy. And their whole goal is to accelerate the clean energy transition around the world, not only Sweden, so much that they have deals all across the world. One of the main ones is in China, the main production in capacity, and that they use one of their innovations there. They also have a deal with Brazil in Rio Grande do Norte, and it's still being built. And they also do this not only utilizing eco-friendly materials and trying to reduce waste and reutilize materials, but they also only employ local workers from the place that they are building at. So in Brazil, they will only employ Brazilians to work, so generating jobs as well. And here is the way that they do this storage solution. So the idea, main one, is to transform the excess energy on high production days on potential energy. So like I said, wind energy has some moments of the day and some days that it produces a lot of wind, the velocity is really high, and other days that is close to none. Particularly in places that don't have any bodies of water, this instability is very common. So the only way to then release it back to the grid would use this potential energy, then transforming it into kinetic energy whenever it's needed. So that can be that one day you have a lot of wind energy, so you start it as potential, and then when you need it, when there's no wind or little wind, you can release it as kinetic energy. And speaking more about the specific method they use, the idea in general is to use bricks. These bricks are about 30 or 35 tons. And when there's a lot of energy being generated, days that are really, really windy, these bricks are elevated, they're raised to an elevated position. And they have two ways of doing this. One of them is in these box-like structures that work a lot like elevators, that the bricks stay on the ground, and when they need, they go to the top. And the other is like a pile of bricks that are slowly built into a tower. And then when it's needed, when the energy is low, you can release these bricks and lower them back to the ground, and this will release kinetic energy. And so in the elevator, they go back to the ground using gravity force, and in the other, the tower itself unbuilds these bricks and lower them to the ground. So this is really important for wind energy because you can have an instability in places and still produce about the same daily. And this is very important too because you can connect it with solar energy and have a wind, solar, and storage energy power plant all together. Here are the links I use. The first one is the link for the company, which is Energy Vault. Like I said, they have a lot of deals that they talk about on their page, particularly the one they did with Brazil. Brazil uses the tower method, while places like China use the more elevator-like method. And here in the bottom, you can see the archive I used for the capacity. This is from the International Renewable Energy Agency, the IRENA, that shows every year the renewable capacity statistics for every kind of renewable energy source. So I think that's all.